Are you ready, boys? Reaction out the wazoo. Let's fucking go. Reaction to a reaction. That's what we've fallen to. We've fallen to becoming reacting reactors. Let's go.
The upcoming MMO Pax Dei just entered its first public alpha.
Oh my god, I'm so cringe. Why do you watch this fucking cringe, Lord? Look at the state of me. Do you know why I've got a hood up as well? I've got a hood up because I've not shaved my fucking head. That's why.
Phase.
Why are you watching? Look, I'm so cringe. Look at me.
I've played Pax Dei now for a solid 4 to 6 hours before the servers went out for maintenance.
Oh my god. Guess how many hours I've played it now, boys. Guess how many hours I've clocked on Pax Dei now. About 38. About 38 hours. I've non-stop played it. I've literally not. There's not been a period where I've not played it. I've been just non-stop playing it. Oh my god.
And today,
have I slept? Yeah, I've slept for like 4 + 6 hours. So I've slept for 10 hours.
I'm going to give you guys my first impressions and talk about where I'm expecting this game to head over the next few months of development. But before we get into that, our beautiful patrons and coked out the wazoo Twitch subs and I would love for you to grab yourself a bug killer, because this game...
So cringe. Why do you watch this fucking loser? Look at the state of him. Look at him. Look at him. The only thing I've got going for me is that the fact that my teeth are still white, even though I'm British.
Definitely exceeded my expectations by...
I'm gonna be honest. If a guy who's recording a video in a fucking hoodie that he's probably lived in for the last 6 years behind pizza boxes and soda cans says an MMO is good, this carries a lot of weight to me.
True. True. He's truing out the wazoo right now.
Yeah, this is a big deal.
Quite a large margin. I'll admit I went into this highly...
This is good shit. The thing is, what am I gonna do when like, how can I improve the background? How can I make the background more degenerate? Do you know what I could do? I could green screen the background and make it look like there's a factory of pizza boxes out the back there as well. And it just looks like it's a giant factory of pizza boxes. That could be a thing. I could do that.
Skeptical, but within the first couple of minutes, the game's polish and quality...
The thing is, editing the green screen every video becomes very... It becomes very, it's just boring, because the editing process, when you got to green screen it all out and then you got to mask it, it's just... Ugh. I think I might be becoming complacent a little bit, because I've done it so many times. You got to realize I've made how many fucking videos? 500 fucking videos. I'm definitely becoming complacent. I need a game to play.
Really took me by surprise. With that said, though, despite the quality of this test, everything you're about to see is subject to your feedback and will likely change over the coming months. Now, with all that bollocks out of the way, let's begin, shall we?
All right, let's see it. First impressions by the dented one. Oh, good one.
So our first impressions
Hey, I'm not bold. At least I'm not the bold one. At least I'm not the bold one.
today are purely focused
Okay, this looks
on
really nice.
this particular testing phase.
You know what? I was in a Discord conversation with somebody who works at this fucking company. I'm gonna message him right now.
Oh shit, was he? He's gonna get a key, probably.
Fuck.
He's probably gonna get a key, isn't he? Yeah, some people were talking about the Return to Moria game. I don't know, that Moria game looks trash. No, that Moria game doesn't look very good.
Who was it? I've gotta play this game.
It's good though. If you like survival games, there's a high chance that Pax Dei could end up being straight up the best survival game ever made. And it's also like persistent online, massively multiplayer world, which is like insane.
I've got to play it, man.
It is heading that way, yeah. I'm really, really excited to see where they go with the combat.
I want to play it.
Terraria's unique, though, right? You got to remember that Terraria... Yeah, all right, it might not beat Terraria, that's fair. But Terraria is unique because it's side-scrolling, and it's just a game that is absolutely phenomenal in every aspect, right? Nothing even comes close to Terraria.
Is highly restrictive and lacking in a lot of the game's long-term plans, mainly the combat, progression, and content. This first phase,
I haven't touched any of the content in this game, the content, right? I haven't touched any of the content yet. So I explored this cave, and I was like, holy shit, there's content down here. And then I did a 180 and I went out because I was like, shit, I'm not ready for this. So what we'll do is, in probably tomorrow or the next day, we will probably gear ourselves up, be in full plate armor, full leather armor, get some really good weapons, and then we will come to these places and explore them and see what they're like.
aptly named Home Valley, is highly focused on the gathering, crafting, and building side of the game. So
That's good.
all my commentary is
Combat is going to be the hardest thing for them, so I'm
And the combat is currently scuffed.
glad they're focusing on that first.
giving feedback and impression.
Do you know what the best way to listen? Do you know the best way to fight someone in chat who's being a retard? You just ignore them. And then they don't get any validation, and then they realize that their life is worthless.
For just these parts. I will tell you off the bat, although combat exists, the combat systems in the game right now are completely unfinished, and they have assured us that a combat overhaul is on its way.
And you bet your ass that we're going to be coming back to Pax Dei when they do that combat overhaul. Oh my god.
So let's just put a pin in that
Oh my days.
and move on,
Okay,
because
alright, fine.
much like other
What do you guys think about the UI? I think the UI looks fine, but the UI looks primarily not like an MMO. It looks like a survival game.
True. Yeah. It is basically a survival game, right? Everything is survival game. The only thing that makes it different from a survival game is the fact that it is on a persistent online server that can hold up to 7,000 people. That's the only difference between traditional survival games we've had in the past and Pax Dei.
alpha titles, wink wink. This means the gameplay that you're seeing is not representative of the final product,
I
and
would expect
everything
that.
we're about to see is in rapid, volatile development. So it will change. Was that okay? Did I do it right, Stephen?
Yes, yes, my apprentice. Your training is starting to finally pay off.
Okay,
Oh,
great.
God.
So
Such a cringe joke. What the fuck?
Pax
I mean, I'm going to say again, especially with the Valheim music, you know, that really is a fucking vibe. I really like the way this looks. This looks amazing.
It is amazing. In fact, it's unbelievable when you see it in game. It's unbelievable because I was really, really skeptical when I saw it in those trailers, and I thought I would get into the game and the game was going to look like ass. But it's identical to the trailers. It's quite literally identical to the trailers. It's crazy.
Like, listen, if the developers are watching this, give me
500 keys!
300 to 500
Oh my god, he actually said that!
keys.
I thought he was going to say 5! I thought he was going to say 5!
I will give them out to my viewers, and we will play the game.
500.
About that.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to see. I think it'd be cool to see what the game's like when they get a lot of people in the same area. Because then they'll get a lot of feedback when it comes to like more than 150 players per shard, because the game is limited by shards, and the shards can only contain 150 people. So how is the game gonna react to that when 500 people all start trying to exist? It's interesting. It's gonna be important to test that, I think. Yo, Nevid, thank you for the 6 months, man. I appreciate you.
We'll make ourselves a little city somewhere and have a bit of fun. Could be more keys. We got a lot of people that watch, you know?
Just 500 keys out. Fuck it.
Day is very interesting for an MMO. Its
I'm ready
base
when you
follows
are.
the survival genre closer than
tomorrow.
it does an actual MMO. However, it is technically a massively multiplayer online game and does plan to feature some RPG elements during
Cut down a fucking tree.
later testing.
I will in a minute.
Phases. So let's begin by talking about their character creator. It is boasting very modern tech, allowing you to create.
I think the character creator at this point in the time, it's quite generic. I wonder what it would be like if they added a couple of more races. I don't see any reason not to add a couple more races, aside from the fact that they want to have a medieval, historically accurate world. That's the only reason why they wouldn't add a different race. But I think the game would, benefit by having like some cool races, like an orc or an elf or a dwarf.
Right.
Highly detailed characters, but as it currently stands, you can only make humans in the world of Pax Dei. I'm not sure there's any plans to add additional races, but, you know, that's okay. It's pretty much got all the bells and whistles that most...
I'm okay with just making humans at the beginning. I think that's completely fine, and I actually don't give a shit about any of the other races because I only like playing people anyway.
I like playing orcs. That's the thing, though. I like playing orcs. I like being a female orc.
If you want to have a more grounded type of game that's only with people, I think that's totally all right.
You get labeled, though, don't you? You get labeled. You get labeled as a generic game. And I don't like that, right?
Unreal Engine 5s are boasting, which unfortunately, because of its focus on humans only, tends to get labeled as a bit generic. However, after creating my beautiful waifu and getting into the game, my first impressions were really quite surprising. I really didn't have high
Strangers after the task, gather and examine, okay.
expectations after we...
The gameplay's identical to like when you first get into Rust or when you first get into Ark. That gameplay is identical. The only difference is that it's third person instead of first.
Seen the plethora of early access games recently, but this one seems to be pretty goddamn good. It's obviously not fair to focus on optimization issues.
This is just, I mean, this is a lot of just like, you know, usually in survival games, this happens, right? Yeah, Valheim, Unreal 5. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now, too.
Hey, guess what? It's an alpha, but the game actually runs pretty well. This clip I'm showing you right now is the time it takes for you to launch the game, get through the loading screens, and start actually playing. It's rather impressive, I've got to say, and not at all what I expected. There is a lag spike every now and again, but aside from that, I was genuinely surprised at how stable the game is in this early launch phase. The graphics are beautiful, the general quality of the game textures are immersive, and the Unreal Engine...
This looks great.
It does look great. And I keep stopping. I keep stopping and just admiring the view. Especially the area around my house as well, because I'm in a nice open field.
It does. It looks really, really nice.
This pales in comparison to the area that my house is currently in.
21 minutes?
Engine 5 tech with nanite and lumen are really shining through here. However, I will say that some of the environments do look a little generic due to the same bush type being copied.
They do. They do look very generic, and it would be nice if they were able to make some of their own, like different types of trees that...
Yep, true. What they need to do is they need to take these generic assets that they've created, and they need to vary them, and then add like 100 different variants of these, add different color splashes, add different shapes, and then add those variants to the algorithm that places it, because it's all done through procedural generation, right? They're not procedurally generating the world completely. It's assisted procedural generation is what they say. So if you just take because this is identical to this. This is identical to this. This is identical to this. These are the same assets. So take those assets and just vary them slightly. Just change the branch shapes, add a different splash of color, maybe take away some leaves, and then just make like 100 different variants, and then boom, re-render the world. See what it looks like then. Especially the grass as well. The grass is the worst part, because you see that looks very. If you take this. You can see that this is this is that. It's all the same tuft of grass. It's the grass is the worst part, in my opinion. After playing it for like 30 hours now, it's the grass is the thing that makes it look very generic.
Aren't necessarily real trees, like trees that you would see out in the world, but are like fantastical versions of those trees. I think that's really like, it's kind of like, it's like an 80-20 rule where like 80% of the stuff should be just like it is in real life, but then the 20% should be fantastical, right? It's like in New World, for example.
Fucking New World.
Whenever you see the blue trees, it's like, oh shit, right? But like the oh shit moment comes from the other 80%.
I mean, he's right. Yeah, seeing a rare resource is Pog at the end of the day. Yeah, but that's not New World, is it? That's every MMO.
Not being blue trees.
Pasted, but that is a process that can be easily fixed as they add a better variety to their procedural generation.
Sure, yeah.
Now, on to the gameplay itself.
Okay,
as you've
this
probably
is
noticed from the
literally just like
footage,
New
the
World.
gathering in the game
The UI isn't it weird? So something I've noticed, right, is that the last 3 games that have gathering in them use this same UI to present it. It's this thing, this rounded thing. Why is that? And what it's done is that it's made this rounded thing look very generic as fuck. It's super generic. Do you reckon it's just inherent to Unreal Engine? Do you reckon it's just an Unreal Engine thing? Yeah, Enshrouded had it too. Did Enshrouded have it? It's not an inherent thing to Unreal Engine. Really? It's so weird that they've gone for this. Wow, it's weird.
is much more action-based.
Because
now
now it makes it all, it makes it feel like they're all copying each other. They're all using the same assets, but they're not, though, right?
your axe or pick with your mouse.
New World is CryEngine. It's a branch off of CryEngine. Yeah, that's what Lumber Yard is.
So that deals damage to objects in the world proportional to the tool's tier.
Okay.
If your tool isn't a high enough tier, you simply cannot break the trees or rocks due to them being too hard.
Exactly how survival games work, right?
This is exactly like Valheim.
A fairly common design
It's all survival games. Ark, Valheim, Terraria. Don't Starve, I think, has it in some respect as well. I think Icarus has it. Yep, true. It's just a survival game trope, right? And it's a good trope. I like it. I like the tiered system. It gives you a sense of progression.
choice,
Yeah.
and one that has some nice depth to the game's.
It's one of my favorite parts about survival games. I like that eventually getting to iron. When you started off as stone tools and you eventually get to iron. Oh, God, it's such a good feeling.
progression. The two core gathering professions right now, wood chopping and mining, have extremely well-designed options right now. Wood chopping and mining have extremely
This is really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you wait till you see my house, boys. You wait till you see my house.
Can I get up on that mountain?
No, not that I've found so far. You can't. It's very, very difficult to scale mountains and stuff. Mountains act as like a hard barrier. So if there's a mountain there, it means that the game doesn't want you to go that way. The game wants you to follow the path around. That's what I've discovered. Because trying to climb up a mountain, it's very harsh when if you try to go up the side of something, it will very, very harshly make you slide down. So it's basically impossible to do it.
Yeah, this is nice.
I think what they want, the game design that they've gone for, is they want you to follow the paths. Can you build to go up? No. Okay, you could, I suppose, but you're limited by your plot, and your plot is very small.
Stamina Bedge. I think that if you want to have an MMO, personally, I think stamina should not be consumed whenever you're out of combat.
How do I feel about that? Think about here's the thing about stamina being consumed when sprinting. It gives you something to think about whilst you're moving from A to B. And because you're focused on your stamina bar and micromanaging your stamina, you are not thinking about the journey and how long it takes. You're thinking about your stamina instead. It adds a layer to the gameplay that makes moving from A to B not feel monotonous. In New World, this is a great example. In New World, you've got no way to sprint. Before they added the mounts, there was no way to sprint. So the only way to move from A to B was to just press W. And because you're just pressing W, you're thinking about that. And you're just thinking like, you know, this is boring, right? This is boring. I'm just going from A to B. And the process of A to B is just pressing one button. And that's not good game design, in my opinion. Yeah, and then you spam dodge, and then spam and dodge, you know, you're not really moving that much faster. So you're just pressing a button for the sake of pressing a button. That's why in World of Warcraft, when you're running from A to B, you jump all the time, don't you? You press space because it gives you something to do. Yo,
Love you, Narc. What quarter you voted for Evo to come out?
Cos Makelly, I've mispronounced your name, but thank you for the 6 months. Quarter 1 is confirmed. Quarter 1 is confirmed. Yeah, you roll in Zelda as well. Yeah, it doesn't really make you go that much faster, but it gives you something to do whilst you're moving from A to B, and you think about it like World of Warcraft, the jumping thing. It's something to do, isn't it? Weeping Forest, thank you for the Prime, man. I appreciate you.
Elden Ring did this, and it dramatically improved the quality of the game.
Elden Ring had a mount mechanic, though, didn't it?
There is no reason for a person to run out of stamina when cutting down a tree. It is annoying.
Had a mount mechanic. It's completely different discussion.
I think stamina provides a great resource in combat situations.
True. I agree with that.
But outside of combat situations, I find that stamina while having gathering is just not fun.
Now, after playing for 30 hours, he is correct. The stamina gating your gathering does feel bad. Because I want to gather a tree, right? I want to gather a tree. But to gather a tree, I've got to go up to the goddamn tree, right? I've got to go up to the fucking tree. And I'm going to run out of stamina before the tree runs out. So look. I'm hitting the tree. And I'm going to run out of stamina. And that just feels shit. That just feels shit. Right? And the best way to do it is I've got to wait for my stamina to go all the way back to max if I want to be most efficient at it. So I've got to wait. I'm just sitting around. I'm doing nothing. I've taken my hands off. I'm waiting. I'm just waiting around. And then I've got to do this. Right? Eating doesn't make any difference. It's the same issue. It doesn't whilst you're chopping. No, it doesn't. Because now look, now I've got to wait again. It doesn't feel good, right? It just doesn't feel good. Eating will increase my stamina regen, yes, but whilst I'm chopping, it doesn't really affect it. It makes my stamina regen faster, but the issue still remains. I'm now sitting around waiting for stamina to regen. Stop looking at the house! This house is spoilers! Stop it! Stop it! We'll get to the house in a minute.
That's it. It's just
Spoilers!
just simply not fun. And I think that the scaling
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I've played it for 30 hours now, and I agree.
metric for gathering should be the
I have a scenario. You're chopping a tree, you run out of stamina, you say 5 seconds right before it's done, everyone else runs up, finishes the tree, finishes chopping the tree before you're done. Is that possible in the game? I've not really played with people yet, so I don't really know. Sorry, I can't answer that question. Rive probably knows, though. Rive? Is Rive in the chat? I saw Rive type something. Rive probably knows.
Source the tools that you're using rather than your...
In Pax Dei, leveling up your wood chopping. What if it reduces stamina? Yeah. I think that would be okay. If leveling, here's what I ultimately want from the tree, the leveling tree, because your skills do level up, by the way, as you're doing stuff. Here's what I would want from those skill trees. I would really like it is if when you leveled up your skill tree, you can click on the skill. So if I click on my skills, I would like it if I could click on wood cutting. So I click it, and then it opens up like a window that says I've got perks that I can take. I'm at level 37, therefore I've got 3 perks that I can choose. And it doesn't have to be an in-depth tree. It doesn't have to have like 50 different options. Just have like, maybe 3 options per tier. And then I've got 3 perks that I can choose, right? And it does things that benefit my playstyle, because that's very important with these types of games. It's very important with MMOs as well. It's very important that you have options for your playstyle, because not everybody likes to play the same way.
Your stamina.
For example, I like to just gather all day. I don't give a shit about combat. I don't care about combat. I just want to chop trees all day.
It's microgating. Yeah, that's actually, I love that term, microgating. Yeah.
Microgating.
Well-designed visual feedback.
Wait, is Asmongold's chat more smarter than my chat? How did that happen? What happened, guys? How does Asmongold's chat come up with a name like microgating, and you guys don't come up with shit?
On the entities that you're gathering. Trees chip away in real time, and rocks crack in real time. And this is something very rarely seen in games like this. I've played a lot of survival games, and I'm struggling to even compare it to another. It's just...
Somebody said it's, this is a mechanic in Arc's Unreal Engine. So I think it's an Unreal Engine mechanic.
That's really nice. I like that a lot.
Very immersive, and I love it.
And can I give maybe this is like kind of an unpopular opinion?
Go on then.
But I actually wish the rocks fell on the ground and you had to pick the rocks up.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Maybe that's an unpopular opinion, but I like the idea of like being able to see it fall
Yeah, I wouldn't say no to that. I'd try that.
apart and picking it.
Because then he could break the rock. Then he could break the rock. All the rocks fall onto the piece, like all the entities fall on the floor. And then when you finished breaking the stone, then you spam E to pick it all up. Maybe that would feel good. That would feel satisfying to do, right? Would that trigger a little bit of dopamine in your brain, or would it feel annoying? I think that's worth testing.
Up the rocks.
Is it a satisfying experience to pick up a giant pile of rocks? This is your loot. You've mined all that. Now you've got a big pile of loot to pick up. Does that feel good? Possibly.
I know a lot of people might not like it because it's not efficient, but I think that it does add to immersion.
Yeah. Something worth testing, I think. Although, is it possible to add into their game at this point? Their game seems pretty far along, I'm not going to lie. Is it possible to add... Is it possible to overhaul a thing like that at this point in the game's development? Who knows? I think this game's pretty hard-coded. And I think they've settled on what they've got, and this is what they got, and I don't think it's going to change much.
The ring itself, though, is governed by a stamina bar, and so far I figured out that you can increase the efficiency of this stamina bar by filling up buff slots, eating various types of food in a very Valheim style.
Exactly.
I suspect there may be...
Yeah, again, Valheim making you have
Do I like the game? Yes, I love the game. I'm addicted to it.
to do that. I just found it annoying.
Here's what it does. It rewards preparation. It rewards you for being prepared. It rewards you for grinding out the food. It allows you to build yourself in different ways. Do you want to build yourself out with stamina buff food, or do you want to build yourself out with HP increasing food, or do you want to buff yourself with stamina regeneration food? It gives you those options, and I personally, as a survival game main, I like it a lot. I think Valheim came up with a really good system there. And no wonder other games have adopted it. Another game that adopted it is Icarus, even though the game's shit. Don't play Icarus.
To be honest, like, yeah, I found it annoying.
I liked it.
I didn't like having to do it.
I like preparation stuff.
It's the worst part about an otherwise flawless.
Enshrouded do it as well, do they? Do they? I've forgotten. I think all my knowledge of Enshrouded has fucking fallen at my ears. I've forgotten.
This game. Yeah, like having to sit there and wait for stamina to do stuff, etc. It's just obnoxious.
Oh, he's talking about stamina. He's not talking about food. Sorry. He's not talking about food buffs. He's talking about stamina regen. Yeah, I agree with him. Yeah, I agree with the stamina thing. It is annoying. It cuts the... Because all I'm trying to do is cut a goddamn tree, but I have to stop halfway through. And it's very annoying.
Much more powerful foods due to there being a cooking skill, and obviously potions that probably allow me to increase my gathering efficiency.
I don't think there's any potions in this build of the game, though.
But that is still left for me to discover. Unfortunately, though, because of this...
You're so bad at reacting. Let him speak the whole sentence. You dumb cunt. Then react. It's an interesting comment to make. Let's see how that turns out for you, buddy.
Binary stamina system, the stamina gating does kind of feel a little bit sluggish. The purpose of it is, I suppose, to give players a sense of progression as they use better equipment, better food, and level up their skill. Speaking of skills, there is a wide range of gathering in the game right now. From what I've discovered, there is...
Yeah, like you're just sitting there waiting to get more stamina.
It's shit. I'm not gonna lie, it feels bad.
Of course, mining and wood chopping, but there is also herbalism and primitive forms of skinning that I'm not quite sure is...
I think they either need to completely overhaul the system or massively reduce the stamina cost of swinging your axe at a tree. Make it so destroying a tree only takes up 50% of your stamina, so then running to the next tree whilst reducing your stamina as well, that's an impact there, right? Or, for example, if you get attacked whilst cutting a tree, you half your stamina's gone, so you got to take those into consideration instead. I think that it's two choices, right? Either completely overhaul the gathering system completely, and I've got an idea for that, and I'll probably make a video about it, to be honest, or reduce it significantly. We'll see.
Fully implemented yet due to the lack of animation. However, where the game really shines is the diversity and sheer amount of these different materials. There is a plethora of different wood types.
Yep. And I've not figured out what half the fucking ore does yet. I can't even figure out what bronze is used for. I've got a shit ton of bronze. I don't know what the fuck it's used for. I don't know what it's used for yet.
Stone types, herbs.
Herbs. I haven't figured out how to use herbs yet. I just don't know.
Plants,
can you break the big rock?
Bone, meat, and that all...
You can't, no. You can only break very specific rocks.
Adds insane amounts of choices to your process.
The world is not voxel, though. The world is not voxel, probably because it's a massively multiplayer online world. That's why it's not voxel. That was probably a very deliberate design choice.
It seems
I really hope that you can break big rocks. You can turn big rocks into little rocks.
You can't. These rocks are just generic environment rocks. The rocks that you can break are very specific rocks. And I also think that's... when I say that the game's hard-coded, I don't think that they're going to make it so you can ever break rocks like this, because it's hard-coded that the gathering rocks are the gathering rocks and only the gathering rocks.
And if you can't, you should be able to.
Yeah. What I think is that it's simply not possible in the way that they've coded their game.
Because it's cool. It's just that simple. It's because it's really cool.
It might be cool, I agree. Yeah, it might be cool, but it's probably impossible because of the way that they've designed their game.
Like, why can't you just like dig a hole into the mountain?
Just dig a hole into the mountain forehead. Do you know what I mean? Just fucking code it. It's simple.
Or something like that. It's just badass.
Just go into Unreal Engine, go into the voxel page, and then just tick the voxel world box. Just do it. Just tick the box.
Meat, and that all adds insane amounts of choices to your processing. It seems the game kind of wants you to
Terraforming,
learn
yeah,
what
it's
are
awesome.
recognized.
Yeah, so the reason why I don't think you can terraform in the game, and the reason why I don't think the game's a voxel world, is simply because it's a massively multiplayer online game. And if you get 7,000 people on a server all voxeling a world, your world will get fucked. Your world will get fucked up.
Materials in the world, as they do have pretty distinct looks to them. Or herbs and berries, for example, are very recognizable from a long distance away, and I think that plays well into what the game is trying to go for.
If you look at the visual for like how the grass moves.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? But it's not as good as... It's good. I agree. It's good, right? But listen. I agree it's good. It's very good. It's very good. I agree.
Wins for now.
It's not as good as Ashes of Creation, though, is it?
The trees were made in a program called Speed
Oh,
Tree, and we had a little bit of trouble getting the
it's not as good as Ashes of Creation, though, is it? I think the reason for that is because Ashes of Creation's coding is custom, and Ashes of Creation is a handcrafted world instead of a procedurally generated world. Those two aspects are why the grass and the trees blowing in the wind looks better. It's because it's
Within
custom.
this month, there's a small chance it might be next month, but it's likely going to be this month.
Within the next couple months, or I think it's the next 2 to 3 months,
In the near future, over the coming, I would say, few months,
as part of the next several months.
We are not years away from Alpha 2.
It's custom code, it's custom animated, and it's a handcrafted world. So just the general environment just looks better. Is there a better scene? Like, is this scene here? Is it even going to load?
across the player, and in the
Like, just look at that.
look at the CPU side of things, the value of the wind at the player location gets sent to the audio system. So the wind picks up in audio as a wave of snow, or a wave of wind passes by the player.
Oh my god.
I'm going through the seasons like that.
Surely this game exists. Surely it exists. Please exist. Please don't be a scam.
From a long distance.
Like, this is obviously just an Unreal, what's that, 5.2 update? Like that, I remember they added this.
Yeah. It's actually 5.0. But yeah.
So it's not like this is incredible in terms of like, wow, I can't believe that anybody's able to do this tech. It just looks really nice.
way, and I think that plays well into what the game is trying to go for. As I look through the building menu and see the various crafting stations,
and the crafting stations is another thing that makes it very survival game-esque. It's just a survival game, isn't it, at the end of the day? It's just a survival game that's in a massively multiplayer world.
Tiles and equipment that you can...
And I think if anyone denies that, then you're I think either your perception of what an MMO actually is just wrong, or you don't understand. You've never played a survival game. It's one of these two options. You've either never actually played a survival game, or your perception of what an MMO actually is just incorrect.
Craft, the game seems to be leaning heavily into mass hoarding a bunch of these processing material tiers.
It is indeed. Prediction correct. Prediction correct. You need to fucking hoard a shit ton of every single tier of material. That's just what the game wants you to do.
Which require a huge amount of raw materials in turn. Which leads us...
Yeah, I think my house, to build the house that we've got, it cost me about 16 hours of grinding. And I'll show you the house in a minute.
Nicely on to the main feature of this test phase. The building. Unfortunately, I spent 4 hours trying...
Do I find clay? Probably near a riverbed, right?
It wasn't near no fucking rivers. I looked at the rivers. It wasn't no fucking rivers anywhere. There was no fucking rivers near me with clay. I was looking for 4 goddamn hours, and there was no fucking clay anywhere. So fucking I couldn't do any building.
Trying to find clay. Therefore, there is no footage of me actually building. Instead, I've used their footage. But that doesn't stop me from overviewing the actual building mechanics. Pax Dei offer a fairly polished, feature-rich, tile-based building system. Think along the lines of Rust or Arc. However, what Pax Dei does really well is the placement of a lot of these interior pieces have the ability to be placed anywhere within their tile grid. This
Yeah, so one of the things about, like, what game does this? You try and place something, but it's in a fixed location, and you can't choose where you want it to fucking be, and that's really, really annoying. Like walls and shit. I think Rust does that, right? Rust and is it Arc? I think Arc does it too. If you want to place a wall, you can't place a wall anywhere you want. It has to be attached to a grid, and it's annoying. But whereas this game's not like that. You can place anything anywhere, and it allows you to create some really interesting things.
Yeah, like visually, this looks incredible. I think that a lot of people probably have wanted this out of an MMO for a long time.
Not sure about that.
Is to have a game like this that you can have an MMO that you can build real structures out in the open world.
I think the better way to say this would be, I think people who really like survival games would like their survival game to be in a massively multiplayer world. That's the correct way to say that, I think. It's not MMO players, it's survival game players.
I want to play this, yeah.
allows you to create some really interesting and detailed buildings that are...
MMO players want stuff like mages, warriors, rogues, in a leveling system that has dungeons and gear progression. That's what MMO players want. Terraceland. Oh my god.
Limited by pretty much only your imagination. They do plan to add more building sets in the future, but from my first impressions, I've only seen what's in the building menus, and that's stone and wood
This is really,
sets.
really nice.
There's stone set, there's a base stone set, there's a plaster set, and then there's a brick set. That's the 3 sets now. Well, the stone set is technically the wood set, so you got like stone wood set, plaster, and brick. And my house is made out of brick. Because I'm a fucking idiot.
As for some feedback,
and this is also the studio that's making this is a Nordic studio, so you
from the CCCP too. Yeah,
you can expect to see a lot of visuals that, you know, kind of resemble, I would assume, something like Norway or Europe, which is great. Like that's what I want to see.
Oh yeah, so when we're geared out, so probably tomorrow or the next day, when we're fully geared and we're ready to do combat, we will explore the world. And we'll see what kind of biomes are in this world. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be pog.
See.
thing I will really say about this game so far is that it most...
Have you guys seen Terraceland's gameplay? Oh my fucking god, it looks so shit. I can't believe it. Apparently Terraceland is pay to win too. Huge pay to win.
certainly doesn't seem like it's designed for solo.
Yeah, WoW 2, yeah, true. Yeah, it's WoW 2.
Players. The amount of materials required, especially for...
Dude, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can build some pretty interesting houses, and you'll see my house in a minute. Oh, I can't wait to show you my house. Oh my god, I'm so proud of myself.
That's really cool.
Building and crafting gear is quite significant, and although that doesn't deter me, because I love a good, meaningful grind, for solo players, you may struggle to find some joy in this.
Do you know what? After playing for so long, I still stand by that. This prediction that I said here, correct. Yeah, if you are a solo player, you might struggle to actually enjoy it. But the game wants you to play with people, right? That's not the point. You're not supposed to play in the way that I'm playing it. You're supposed to play with other people. But I wanted to see what the game was like from a solo's perspective. Just to see, like, the diff. Because everybody's playing with people. What's it like actually playing on your own, though?
It is first and foremost a game that is supposed to be played in a clan or with a community, as their land claim and gathering.
I'm really interested to see what Asmongold does with this community. What's going to happen when they get 500 people all in the same area? That'd be interesting. I bet what they do is they give him 100 keys. I bet that's what they do. They give him 100 keys because then those 100 people that get in won't trigger an extra layer. I bet that's what they do. So when he gets 100 people in the same area, it doesn't trigger a new layer.
Systems highly favor and are actually designed to accommodate groups. The large
I think that I think you should be able to play solo, but the idea that if you want to build like big stuff, you need a group of people because of the amount of resources it takes.
It's also the space. The big thing that I've discovered is that the space that you're given as a solo is just doesn't feel big enough.
Like, I like the aesthetic of, for example, like you think about all of like the old, like a cowboy house or something like that. It's like fucking tiny, bro. It's like basically enough to put a bed down and lay down in, and that's it. And I like the aesthetic of like a small player having like a small...
Yeah. But you need to rely on other people is the problem, right? Because there's so many crafting stations and you need them all. If you don't have them all, then you run into an issue where you simply can't make the lower tier stuff to make the second tier stuff. So you've got to rely on other players, right? You've got to rely on the other players, and I think they've deliberately designed it like that.
Like very function-oriented house, and then having a group of people that are...
But in my opinion, the tier 1 and tier 2 stuff shouldn't require a group, in my opinion. It's only tier 1 and tier 2 stuff at the end of the day, right? You should be able to do tier 1 stuff at least on your own. But there simply isn't enough space, right? You're not given enough space.
Able to build something that's cool, and
you end up having to choose, do I want an aesthetically pleasing house or do I want a highly efficient factory? And I think when you're in a game like Pax Dei that's highly immersive and wants you to be, engaging in its building systems, I don't think that should be a choice. That's flawed philosophies there.
Expansive. Because it creates like a dynamic there. I love it. And also, I mean, if an individual is able to build something really cool, like that is a personal accomplishment. So that's why I like this. I think this is a good starting point for the game to have.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the game is in a great spot. I'm shocked at how good the game is.
To the group, the more efficient the
actual player trade. So as it currently stands, the game, there is no trading system. I suspect they will eventually add a trading system where you can trade peer to peer, but at the moment there is no trading system. I can't trade. I can't say, hey, I'll give you this if you give me this back. What you do is you just drop it onto the floor, right? And then that runs into issues because what happens if some random just picks it up? Do you know what I mean?
You will be. As I said, though, if you are someone who enjoys an immersive...
Look at my fucking waifu! Look at the fucking... look at this definition in her fucking muscles. Oh my god, I just want to lick her.
Nice. Meaningful grind to build a permanent residence in a world, this game
Oh, the definition in there. Oh my day.
Definitely fulfills that fantasy. To conclude, I just want to mention that there is still so much more for me to discover in this game due to its meaningful, slow pacing. And I have yet to even get to the point where I'm discovering the depths of what these materials are and where to even find them. I haven't even crafted my first set of gear to attempt a PvE cave, ruin, or dungeon yet.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'll be streaming Pax Dei pretty much every day.
Hey, and we're going to be streaming every day. We're going to be streaming every day. Hey!
Over at twitch.tv/Narcoverse. So if you want to drop in and see the game for yourself, ask any questions, or just hang out, then come drop by and see if this upcoming MMO could be...
It's not an MMO.
...for you, because you're high on copium.
Yeah, okay, that's the reaction. Yeah, cool. I mean, at the end of the day, right? I'm enjoying the game. The game's great. Apparently, he says he wants to play with me. Listen, I think Asmongold would have a much better time is if he didn't come and play with me. Instead, he explored the game on his own with his community, and they did something on their own. That's what I think would be a much better viewing experience for us to see from his perspective, rather than him coming to me. I think that I'd prefer that much better. It's not, I like watching this too, and I want to see, right? I want to see. I don't want to be like pulled into a group of 100 people, because I've sort of done my own thing here and I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I know he says that he wants to play with me, but I think he'd have a much better time if he played with his own community. Just explored it himself, went out with his people and did something on their own. That would be super fun to watch. That'd be really fun to watch. Yeah. Yeah, good reaction. Yo, I think you're really going to enjoy this game. Asmongold community, I think you guys are really going to enjoy watching the game too. It's a really good game.